How's everyone doing? Did everyone have a good Christmas or a holiday or whatever it is?
Yeah.
A festive time to sleep.
A festive time to sleep. Lovely. Full of food and drink. That's all you need.
I wanna drink.
That's all we need, right? uh, yeah. Okay, well, look, welcome, folks. Like we usually do, you can step on up and ask any questions you like. There's always loads of things to talk about. I can waffle on about some new things that we're working on. Oh, look, somebody's got control over the podium. They can turn the podium on and off. That's great. That's okay. Let them go. Let them go. Let's just say if you want to ask a question, just make your way over to where my rope is attached, and that can work as a backup in case the podium is is freaking out.
I think everyone's
But
gonna want a Shane balloon now.
Yeah,
I can make that
Nice.
happen.
Nice.
that's in the monthly subscription.
Yes. Well, actually, that's the fun part, right? About that little thing there, is if you've favorited this space, isn't that right, Aline?
Yes.
If you've added this space, then a load of me come exploding out of it.
Yep.
So
Aline, I fear your skills. Teach me your
it's
ways.
a great example of how you can kind of, you know, recognize users who are coming to your world, recognize that they're subscribed to your world, you know, give them a special supporter status, put a special thing on their head or over their shoulder or something like that if they've subscribed to your world, right? It's kind of like a nice little way to encourage people to get subscribed or favorited. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot more info in there as well, like the soul color, the user ID, the ID, which is basically like a session ID or a socket ID, is what it actually maps to under the hood. It's kind of like if the same person is in the room twice, then their user ID is going to be the same, but the socket ID will be different. Don't worry too much about that. It's
I have a question. I guess is this the podium for it, or is that the podium?
Yep.
I
right
guess
here.
so, but I believe Shane's
This
correct.
one over here.
Oh no!
Cool.
Somebody flipping back over.
Aline, you're the next suitable adult.
Can't do anything.
What do we do?
Oh.
Shane
Well.
is still here.
Am I back?
I can hear you, yes.
Yes, you are.
Oh wait,
Am I here?
that's the
Yeah.
second Shane.
Yeah, avatar's not working. Oh,
Oh,
there's
there we
the
Feel
go.
free
second
to
one.
kill that other one. Oh, no, I'm the good one. I'm the good one.
Kill both of them.
Which one's the clone?
Okay.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I don't know what point I got cut off there. Does anybody have any idea what I was saying before I got cut off?
About the user ID
You
and
have
the
a
ID.
clone.
The difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IDs and user IDs and IDs.
Yeah.
User ID is a unique ID, and your ID is a session ID.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a bunch of extra stuff there, right? Being able to get access to the user's soul color. Something that Aline was working on today was being able to have saved variables, right? Which is something that could be really useful. Would allow you to kind of configure on their own in their own local storage.
Oh, no,
And then it
second
comes up.
client dying.
Oh, am I bugging out again?
We're gonna need a third clone.
Oh, hang on, my internet sucks. Hang on, let me swap connection.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't worry,
Sounds
I'll be
higher
back.
than before.
He's headed home.
Anyone shooting? Yeah. I'm putting as a
Uh,
proper balloon.
No.
Yeah, everybody needs a Shane on a string.
Don't tempt me. I got a free day now.
Orientation.
Zed's got plans now.
That'll do it.
Yep.
When the hell do I have plans to do anything?
What-
Someone just text
I
me and
must
that's
Am I
it.
still in the room?
There you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
We open this.
Oh
okay.
my god.
Hello.
Okay.
So what have I missed?
I need to
came in a
make
few
my way back.
minutes late,
Bear with
and
me.
suddenly people are floating.
I'm not.
He's
I'm
essentially
right here.
a higher
Shane
being.
is currently
I
orbiting.
always
Here we go.
remember.
Oh, he is.
I'm a little bit upside
Not
down.
that it's any different from any other day.
He is not.
I'm frozen. You don't see me up here in the middle of the sky?
Yeah.
No, he's up here.
There might be two
wrong
of me.
Shane.
Yes.
You might be looking at the wrong one.
Yeah. there's
Oh, this
another
one over
one
here.
moving.
You see this one?
Yeah.
You don't see a second one?
Oh, how you
Do
doing?
other people see me? Do you see me in the air,
Yeah.
folks?
I
He's
see you
over
right
here.
Yeah. You have an
It's
accessory.
close to you.
I can't get my. I'm just gonna
I love that
work
guy.
like this from here on out. Let's see if my internet survives. Oh God. Nice.
Good.
Actually, on that note, that Zed can tell you all a little bit about saved variables.
Oh my
Because
god.
he's the first one who actually used them.
Enlighten us.
Oh, Dead Zed. Let's put Dead
I-
Zed on the spot.
You're talking to the one who's
Somebody
drinking.
megaphone
I-
him. Because I'm upside down.
Have I been mega? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just use the space. I was asked ages ago when I originally built Cookie Clicker, could we have this game saved? No, we could not. So I don't know how I'm going to explain how it works. Cookie Clicker you can now save. It saves to your local device and all that on the headset as well as on 2D. I don't know much of the phone. I don't use it. But you can now save
Yes.
your cookie progress, meaning you don't have to get a million cookies and then kill me in DMs going, where are my cookies? Easiest way of me describing it, you can now save your games.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of neat. You know, you can have space state properties and something soon, which you're going to get to play with is user state properties. But when you kind of combine those with saved properties or saved variables, these new ones, there's going to be lots of cool things you can do. You'll be able to basically for every space, every unique web address, you can have a whole set of saved properties for each person, right? So for each space you create, you can have a custom configuration there for each player using the same information that you've got here on this little screen that I'm floating towards. You'll be able to, you know, do whatever it is that you want to do, right? And that way, I guess my hope is that it sort of lends itself to some kind of gamification, right? That should be it'll be easier to maybe store progress like Cookie Clicker, and be able to let people, you know, have something there that that they can value, right? That they can find some kind of engagement in. Oh, look, 'tis herself there in the back. How are you doing?
What's the crack? Tis himself.
Does that?
Yeah, I'm stuck upside down, so
I can see
just
that,
leaning into it. Yeah. So I don't know. Nobody's asking questions, which means it's waffle time. Get ready, everybody.
I wouldn't say that, Shane. I do actually have a question.
Okay, hit me. You're already megaphone. That's handy.
Okay, perfect. So with the that you can favorite a space and you can cause effects with what we can see or what I can see. Could we do the same thing for when your event is saved? That you can have subscribers to an event
Yes.
put under a certain
Yeah.
category like VIPs.
Potentially, yeah. People who are subscribed, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good idea to start experimenting with this sort of stuff. it's producing metrics, even if they are kind of vanity metrics, they're still metrics, right? But also, you're kind of encouraging people to show their support, to get involved, to get notified, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't see why not. The favorites and the event subscriptions are stored kind of differently, but I think the information is available, especially when you're in the space. It should be pretty easy to make that information available. So, yeah, I definitely think we can do that.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Cool beans. Anybody else? Any other questions before I bust into a bunch of waffle?
Yeah, I guess I have a question. Like,
Hit
if
me.
I could lobby for a feature that does not exist in VR chat that would actually add a lot of, I guess, experimentation on my end, is to have access to, like, audio, signals, like whether a user's talking in the room at a given point. I don't think we have, like, a signal for that currently, at least from what I can see.
Gotcha.
Is
So
that
you
like
mean just events to let you know when somebody is talking or not, basically? Is that what you
Yes,
mean? Like voice
essentially.
activity events? Right.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
even better would be to have split channels for different audio channels.
Gotcha. I think we do have that. I think we may already have that. It's probably not perfect and we could improve it, but we have a voice volume metric, which is basically passed over in real time, made available in user scripting land, right? So that could probably be the basis of some kind of voice activity detection, but you get like a real time, float value of the voice volume, basically, right? So you could do voice activated, whatever, voice reactive things in that sense. So yeah, I definitely think there's something we can do there. Might even be able to do it for each player in the space individually, right? So it's something that is just naturally synced because it's just something that we have available for each player. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's something that's available at least in the JavaScript side of things. I'm not sure if it's exposed via Unity visual scripting, but it's possible to do JavaScript from Unity visual scripting, so you can kind of access it probably that way too already. Yeah, are you in the Discord? If you are, maybe you can ping in the Space Makers channel or something like that. I can maybe try and dig out something. We can try a little experiment if you like, and depending on
sure.
how far
I'll
it goes,
keep a note on
it
that.
can help inform us as to where we need to improve on that or what we need to prioritize. Yes. Yes, that's a cool idea. Yeah, some kind of voice reactive stuff. Yeah, that's definitely a cool idea. Yeah,
cool.
I mean, while we're on it, something that people were asking for only was it a week ago or maybe the week before that? We were talking about this upcoming event we're going to be doing where we're going to be sponsoring the creation of some gamified spaces and let's see. I think it was Moto and Designer Girl maybe were the two people that were talking about it. But basically, they asked to be able to hide the name tags and disable the radar. Both of those are already live in the build actually now and have been out for they released a few days after we were talking about that. So prop hunt is something that is always really popular and there's a good likelihood we have all the necessary components in place to make something like that pretty easy to put together. So now it's just a matter of trying that out and seeing where, where needs to be polished. What's the final bits we need to look at? Did I disconnect again? Nobody's moving or talking.
Nope, you're here.
Okay, good. Oh yeah. Yeah, so there's other things we've been pissing around over Christmas with. Somebody's got a question? Yeah, go ahead. Hit me.
I have a question. I wanted to. Hi, Shane. I wanted to ask. Today I was thinking about like I can't really tell which map is like new. So I thought like maybe it would be good like if there is like a kind of separation line
filter.
where we could know which maps came new to the banter, like maybe the newest one of this week, and then if there's like a new
Yes.
world, then we can like see some kind of a, you know, separation where we can like say, ah, okay, that's a new map, and then, you know.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. That's actually a really good idea.
Thank
Let's
you.
see. Is there anybody here from my team? Aline, anybody who's not upside down could maybe take a note of that so we don't forget that, because I actually think there's a good chance that's going to be a quick one. Oh, we already have a ticket. Nice. Okay. There's a good chance that's going to be a quick one. I think with how we're sort of pulling in the spaces, it's likely we've already got those filters in place, at least on the back end. So it's probably possible for us to have like new or popular or a few different ways to filter the list of spaces so that you can see new stuff as it's coming in. So yeah, I definitely think that that will be possible. That'll be a nice little quick win, I'd say.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you. Let's see. What will I talk about next? Talk about Vulkan, Aline, or quick menu? Talk about selfie camera? Talk about what will we talk about? You pick one.
I would say go with the quick menu.
Quick menu. Okay, that one works because I've actually got it right here in front of me. I've got it actually here in this build. I'm playing with it here in midair as we speak. So basically, some of you might remember that a number of weeks ago, probably months ago, I don't know, everything tends to kind of blur into each other. But I kind of teased a prototype in the announcements channel of a radial menu that I was working on, a prototype of a radial menu. I actually open sourced it at the time, and it's been starred by 4 people. Woo! Excited. But I finally sort of got round to it today, actually, looking at trying to integrate it into the build and really just trying to test it outside of the limited test case that I had done. It was a weekend project when I did it the first time, and if anybody's interested, I did throw a video of it into the sus channel. If anyone wants to take a look at that, but it's a radial menu, right? A radial quick menu. Some of the things I like about it, it's got a built-in scroll system, which means it can support a lot of items in that menu. It supports multi-dimensional menus. You can kind of navigate up and down between different sections. I think there's a lot of things it can lend itself to. Today, we decided to look at it because we were talking about the selfie camera, and myself and Aline, we were in 2 different minds about how we should approach the UI for the selfie camera. And I think in the end, we kind of settled on the idea that let's see if we can get the quick menu working, and maybe that might provide us some options for UI for the selfie camera, right? In a way that can be smooth and natural. And what I mean by that is that this new quick menu uses direct touch, and it's got sort of built-in visual feedback, right? Like visual haptic feedback. As your finger gets close, things start to kind of get animated and show that. And then when you hit things, there's all sorts of touch ripple effects, all that kind of nonsense. I'm probably going to have the same kind of haptic feedback on your controllers for the final product. Maybe even some sounds, right? We could totally juice that up, make it really fun to use. But yeah, the idea is that it's kind of a nice reusable quick menu. Hey there, how you doing? And there's so many things that it's going to make like super easy and possible, right? So some of you may have known about a week ago we let slip that we basically released a major feature about 2 months ago and forgot to tell anybody, and that was something called user blend shapes for your avatar. If anybody has seen some of the mad stuff Sebek has been doing, probably Fire Rat, definitely Aline. Aline can probably demonstrate right now if she's here. Is she here?
Yes.
Has she disappeared?
She's hiding.
Oh, she there.
Ah, she doesn't want to demonstrate. Maybe she can. Maybe she can make her eyeballs massive.
Wait, I have to find the project. 1 second.
Okay, I'll give Aline a few seconds there. But yeah, the quick menu could have a nice little convenient section where you could adjust the values of your own user blend shapes, right? So you don't actually need an external application or anything like that. You'd be able to change animated parts of your avatar inside the quick menu, right? And you'd have sliders, so you could move them to whatever value you kind of wanted to be able to match that. Another quick thing we would get from the quick menu would be emoji, right? We could just build out a very simple, quick emoji menu. We've got a set of emoji we can slap in there. We could build a system there that could be built in mind for, custom emoji in future if we want to open that up and let people be able to add their own emojis and send their own emojis, right? Triffid likes that one. But there's other things we can do, right? What we were thinking of doing was just making it so that spaces have their own section within the menu. So every space you go into, maybe there's a space settings option in there, and then you could have an entire hierarchy of quick toggleable options that the space could put in there, right? So you could have all sorts of things, abilities, settings, graphics options. Hell, if people want super high fidelity on Quest and they don't care if it runs at 20 frames a second, then you can give them that choice, right? What about half the time when we accidentally Spider-Man? Well, what about having a nice little quick menu option to turn Spider-Man on and off, right? So you didn't have to have it. You could actually give people a thumbs up without jumping across the room, or maybe just fight everybody if that's what you want to do, because sometimes the Spider-Man prevents you from making the necessary fist that you want to make there. But yeah, quick menu's pretty exciting. There's lots of things that it could immediately enable, which might just generally make our lives easier. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's certainly interesting and different, right, in terms of that whole sort of radial approach. Like I say, none of you could see what I can see. It's right here in front of me. I'm playing with it. But if you want to see it, it's in the Discord. Check it out. It's in the sus channel in the Discord. Oh, I've somehow made it disappear. So now it's gone and I don't know where it is. So there's one or two little things I just need to polish up with it. And then I think it's going to be in pretty good shape. Then I'd like to try and just maybe see if we can come up with a simple slider system for it, right? So that there's at least some nice options for controls, widgets, whatever you want to call them, so that when you want to make these custom menus for your spaces, for any of you that are making spaces, that yeah, you've got some nice controls, right? I mean, I know a number of spaces, whether it's the Comco Theater, or it's Canna Banter, or wherever it is, right? There's lots of spaces where you've got a whole range of settings which are there basically set up on a bunch of buttons. And yeah, it'd be nice if the space could control that, could even give admins or moderators a different set of menus. So you would have like a God menu or an admin menu, and all of that could honestly be super simple. Because the way this is set up, it's actually very easy to define a menu structure and to set up all of the necessary callbacks, right, for all the different menu options. So there's that. I've waffled there for a bit, so maybe I'll shut up for a second and see if anybody... see if I'll just float away. I'll see if anybody wants to ask a question. Or if everybody's just happy to listen to me waffle and struggle to exist. Where the hell is that fucking thing that's supposed to turn me the other way around? Oh, there it is. Hang on. Bear with me, folks. I'm just going to give it a moment. We'll see if anybody has any questions, and I'm going to use that time to try
Yeah, I'll make a
to
comment.
write myself. Go for it.
I know you just made a bunch of
Oh,
people really
yes.
excited when you said God menu.
Avatar thing, the cloning.
Vanquisher's over there going, "Oh
Yes.
yes, the power that I'll have."
God menu, exactly, right? Because you're already doing that in a lot of spaces. So how handy would it be that all your mods could be anywhere in the space and have just a super easy menu they can open on their hand and be able to quickly access a bunch of settings and then close that menu again and you're back into whatever you're doing. Yeah, I think that's going to be super handy, right? I mean, that's just one use case for it. There's potentially other things. You could almost use this because it's going to be a multi-dimensional menu. You can have a hierarchy in there. You
Mhm.
could build an inventory system in there inside your world where each user gets their own structure of folders or whatever it is, right? And items could be in there. Who knows, right? You could make it possible for people to spawn items. I'm just throwing that out there, but the quick
awesome.
menu will quickly turn into something very, very powerful. And because it's really good with scale, right? Because it has the scroll system, it means you can have 20 or 30 items in that menu, and that's probably not that big of a deal, compared to some of the other platforms out there. Sorry, Pox didn't realize I was standing right beside the spawn point. But some of the other platforms out there have got quick menus that kind of do a full circle on the radial part, right? And they tend to end up pretty crowded once you get, above sort of 7 or 8 items in that menu. But this quick menu, I hope, could actually have a whole lot of stuff in there. We'll probably abuse the crap out of it and misuse it and just put in an entire structure of craziness in there that we could probably better build out in a bigger UI. But honestly, the reason for that is because it's going to be so easy to do that with it. Hey, how are you doing, Fast Crimson? You've got a question. Go ahead, tell us. What's your question? Oh,
Yeah.
it's one word, folks. One word.
One word. Okay, I'm down to play.
Go. Got to mine.
I should explain that you can't talk until you sign in. Nobody here can hear you. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. In the menu,
We're also having internet problems.
if you open the menu button or B, oh no. Don't. He went in himself. Ignore him. Here, I'll give you one. Let's give you a nice little helpful portal that actually could solve your problems. If you want to learn how to sign in, this little portal.
I think he might have froze.
Yeah, they're having internet problems.
Well, I will hold your hand until you come back.
Oh, so supportive.
Yes. Oh God. There we go. But yeah, what else can we talk about? Yes, hit me. Yes. Like a toast? Yes, like a toast, like the toast system that we've got, right? Where it pops up a little message in front of you. That is something that we were planning on exposing to the SDK, so you could do whatever, welcome messages to the space, generic sort of stuff. Or a web page. It has actually a click interaction with it too on the toast, so you could have something that pops up and it's like click for more, and there's it shows up in their menu then as well. I think they can actually see that in their menu too. But yeah, I mean you can probably already have a clickable link that opens their browser. I think that's pretty much already possible using the open page function, right? Which also allows you to send somebody to another space when they click on something. That's quite handy in some situations. But yeah. God, I've been waffling on for ages. Sometimes I don't. I'm sort of sick. Go ahead, Pox. Put me out of my misery.
Did you guys have a full presentation of all the things back there before I joined in?
I just kind of ignored them and just let people have a pull at them themselves. But we actually looked at a lot of these last week. A lot of these were available last week, in fact, and maybe then we went through a bit more detail. But honestly, I think it's worth having an explore because a lot of it is fairly self-explanatory in terms of what it is and how it all works. A lot of it is just about sort of UI input controls. Aline has kind of gone above and beyond here in terms of building out physics-based interactions, right? Many of which also work using 2D, right? Where you can click on them too. This is one of the samples, by the way. This is the basics sample in the SDK, right? In the Unity plugin. This is one of the ones that you can actually import. Is this one actually already live, Aline? At least an earlier version of this?
Yeah, there's an earlier version. There's, for example, the scan station is missing, and the attachments is also missing in the one that's currently live. But yeah, it will be updated tomorrow. So tomorrow there will be the update going out with the new stuff, and then also the held events are currently missing, so they will be added tomorrow too.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. You can expect updates to this very soon. And yeah, there's lots of interesting concepts that are kind of laid out here in front of you in very easy to digest bite-sized chunks, right? So there's loads of stuff around how the grabbing system works, the various different types of grabs, how it's able to pose your hand in different grab situations, how it's able to move an object to a certain orientation in your hand automatically, right? Which is a serious quality of life improvement, like when it comes to things like guns and stuff like that, right? You'll be able to just pick it up, it's in the right position in your hand instantly, you can start shooting with it, right? That's so much better than having to do that 2 or 3 rotations in your hand to get it to the right point. So that's a huge big deal. Feel free to just poke and prod and pull at all of these weird looking red things sticking out of the wall over here. Levers, right? This is some more interesting physical based things that you can interact with. What does this one do? Does this actually do something when you get it up top? Yeah, I mean, at least it goes green.
Turns green.
No. It turns the stage on and off. Pull it down and look at the stage.
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. And it's synced. Yeah,
Yes.
Many of these have been built from scratch. Included is the entire source code, right? In the form of visual scripting in many cases. The visual scripting itself has been annotated and documented and broken up into these bite-sized chunks to make it easier to understand, to kind of isolate the key parts and just lay them all out hopefully in front of you. So the hope here is that this can make it easier to build this sort of stuff into your worlds, right? And if you're wanting to think about making something like an escape room, you've got tons of physics-based controls in here that demonstrate how you could build loads of different types of interactions. So yeah, and this is just the start. Of course, there's definitely going to be more. So stay tuned. A couple of other things we're working on right now. In fact, we want to...
One quick one. Sorry if I jump in there.
Go ahead.
If you have any ideas or recommendations, what you would like to see in the space where you think, oh, that could be a nice little example. I always wanted to know how to do those things. Just, throw it out and we do our best to include it. You are excluded, not you.
Piloting.
I'd like to see that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Piloting is top priority. we're trying to iron out some kinks in the piloting right now as a top priority, just because of how valuable that's going to be when it comes to making gamified stuff. Go ahead, Goran.
The concept of cloning avatars. For example, like myself, I'm not currently able to create a custom avatar, but if I have a friend create one, having the capability to just click on them and clone it, is that a potential future?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely something we're going to have. Hopefully, there'll be a whole section in the menu where you can kind of browse avatars that people have published and made public or shared with you. Right now, there's avatar worlds, right? So that's kind of at least some way for people to be able to create and share avatars with you. There's also ways they can do it through Ready Player Me, although that can involve a few extra steps. But there is the Avatar Oasis. That's the Avatar world created by Vanquisher, if I'm right there. So feel free to take a peek at that. That makes it super easy. You can just walk in and click on an avatar, and it'll pop up and say, "Would you like to make this your avatar?" And you click yes, and boom, it's done it. But in future, yeah, I mean, if people want to make their own current avatar public, we'll want to make that easy for you to just click on a person and go clone as well, right? So that'll definitely be something that we'll have as well.
If I may say something.
Let's see. I'll come to you next, Dragon, and I'll give Trey a shot first, just because he was in there
Thank you.
before. But yeah, go ahead,
All
Trey.
right, so I noticed how like over there on the point to grab, like you got a picture of an example of what it looked like in Unity, how to like set it up. Like, is that
Yes.
possible? Like for the lever and like the buttons, like you have like an example like you have over there, what it should look,
Yes.
the settings should look like in Unity.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause I
a
like how
really
you
good
got that
question.
visual. Yeah.
Yes. So some of the objects that you will use in the SDK will involve using what we call SDK components. And that's what Aline is demonstrating over there is the different settings that are built in for something like the grab system. Now with the grab system, a lot of these settings are kind of set up in the editor when you're building your world, but you can't really test them until you get into the game, right? Because we just don't have the full physics character and grab system built into the Unity plugin. I mean, it could be something we'll do in future, but it's going to take a bit of time and a bit of effort to do that. With a lot of these other examples, they actually don't generally involve those same SDK components. In this case, Aline has actually built these from scratch using visual scripting. Now, she could probably put a picture here of a visual scripting graph and show you the spaghetti that it is, but actually,
that'd be cool.
these ones are actually a lot more straightforward than that. A lot simpler. But you'll be able to actually get those up and see them within the SDK, right? So you'll be able to import those samples. Hey, Epox, I've got you, but let me just get Dragon first because he was in there just before you. But yeah, go ahead, Dragon.
Okay, really basic newbie question. I just published a world and I can't figure out how to get to it.
Gotcha. When you say published, you created one on the SideQuest website, and you then used the
I
Unity
put it up on
plugin
Glitch.
and uploaded. Up on Glitch.
Uploaded
Gotcha.
it to
Well,
Glitch.
that's actually quite easy then. It's very simple. You can open the menu, and in the search at the top, you just type whatever.glitch.me, and it will come up with your
So you put it in
space,
the
and
search.
You can join it. You can put it
Okay.
in the search is like
I was looking for the go to
universal
URL
address
button.
bar. Yeah, it's all built
Okay.
into the search now. Everything is in there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. While I'm at it, if you've got a space on the SideQuest website, you get a special whatever.bant.ing web address, right? We give those out for each space. And if you just type the first part of that into the search, it'll come up with your space as well. So that actually kind of doubles as a bit of a space code, right? You can actually give out a code to your space, and then just tell people to type that into the search. That's assuming that it's not featured, right? And most of the
Right.
spaces are featured, but yeah, search is great. Probably one of the best features we got into the new menu whenever we rolled it out. But yeah, you can definitely find it in there.
Thank you so much.
Come back to you in just a second, Trey. I've got Pox. Go ahead, Pox. You're live to the room.
Sure. Remember how in Old Space we had this system where people could raise their hands and the host would then have a list of like hand raises in order?
Yes.
That's something we're gonna get here as well.
I think definitely. I think it's probably one of the last things that we don't have quite yet, right? Because we've got megaphone, we've got mirroring between instances. The last thing that we just don't have right now is that mod panel that shows a list of people who have their hands up, ordered by, the first one to have put their hands up, and a quick way to mirror and megaphone them. So you're absolutely right. It's definitely something that we want to have, and I think it really polishes off what I think is otherwise a fairly complete system of kind of events and scaling events in an automatic way, let's say. But yeah, definitely going to get
Awesome.
that. Cheers for that, Pox. Yeah, Trey, you're next. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Are the requirements to get a space featured ever going to get any easier?
I think they're probably at their easiest right now. They're more likely to get more difficult. The reason I say that is just because maybe there's a better way to approach that, right? I guess as time goes on, more and more Quest 2 users will slowly migrate over to more powerful devices. As that happens, at some point we might reach a threshold where we might say, okay, the next lowest benchmark device is a Quest 3S. That's probably going to take a few years because there's upwards of 20 million Quest 2 units out there. So that's a lot of devices that aren't going to disappear overnight. But, I mean, the truth is, the only requirement we have to get a space featured is that it performs well on a Quest 2, that it reaches a minimum of 72 frames reasonably consistently. Now, we say 72, but I'll tell you right now, as long as it's upwards of 60, we'll probably accept it. And I think that that's important because I think that it's quite common on a lot of other platforms, right, for performance to just be the last kind of consideration. And spaces run at 25 or 30 frames a second. And yeah, that can be fun, but it can also be quite nauseating and be a really poor experience for a number of people, especially new people who come in. So I think with us, we internally hold ourselves to a pretty high standard when it comes to performance. And we've learned a lot along the way about how we can do that. And I think we're actually finally in a really great position where, we can have upwards of 20 to 30 people in a room. We don't have to do any crazy things to make it all performant. We don't have to start turning people into 2D sprites or any of that stuff anymore. We've got full body avatars with, full body tracking on pretty much every person in the room in terms of the data and the networking at least. And all of that is working really well, and performance is pretty good at the minute. So I think recently we discovered, as part of the new rollout, we were digging through a lot of different things, trying to find every last little bit that we could squeeze out of it. But we discovered a really big performance boost related to the new menu system that actually allowed us to pull out like 30 or even 40 frames in some spaces, which is unheard of, right? It allowed us to pull the Quest back up from sort of 60 frames in some of our flagship spaces up to 90, right? Upwards of 90 frames on Quest 2. So I think that the truth is there between, I guess, all of us, right? Us internally really, really scrutinizing the performance piece, trying to unlock as much as we possibly can, and then space creators as well, trying to be conscious of that too, and together, right, we can have a great time, and we can actually make some really cool things, and they can run really well on even lower end devices. So yeah, there's there's
Okay.
there's definitely a lot we can do there. I think. I hope that
So is the
answers your
process
question,
still the
George.
same? Like, take a
Yes.
video on the Quest 2 and then
Yes.
post it in the featured channel, and okay, using
Yeah. For
OVR
now,
metrics.
yes. For now, that's
Okay.
definitely the best way to do things. I will say we did discover that OVR metrics has a tendency to lie sometimes, which is great. It was really great to discover that whenever we were trying to use it to optimize things. Right? It's great to be able to know when it's telling you that you're getting 90 frames, but you're actually getting 60. But it's still most of the time it still works pretty accurately and is probably the best tool that you can use out there. I think at some point we'll also have a frame rate in the menu, right, so that it's a little bit easier and you don't need OVR metrics and it's just built into Banter. So that's something you can look forward to as well. That should hopefully make it just that little bit easier again.
Okay, and you have to take that video on the Quest 2, correct?
Yes, that's right. You got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers. Yeah. Any questions, anybody? Is that where we're at? I've got more I can talk about, but go ahead. Yeah, Static, what have you got?
Oh, go Static.
All right, just one moment, thank you. So what you were saying earlier about private avatar repositories, I just wanted to mention earlier that we have a couple members that have been doing that for people, creating custom avatars for them and hiding them in secret worlds for them and just saying, hey, pop into this portal and go collect your avatar.
Nice. Brilliant.
Vanquisher, Fire Rat, Dead Zed. Dead Zed was doing that even at the haunt, so he created a space for us all to sneak into, put on our costumes and run through the place as monsters, and, nobody was the wiser.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly kind of the way you can do it right now. It's kind of a cool way as well. You could unlock avatars if you do make a space or whatever. People, make their way through a game. Maybe they get to a certain point where they find an avatar or something like that. So I definitely think that's a cool thing for sure. And that's probably something you'll always be able to do, right? Even if we put something in the menu, maybe there's a way to hide it from the main public view, but still have it be out there and be a public thing that people can access if they need to. But yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, go ahead, Discord Kitty. What have you got for us?
So we used to be able to, on 2D, grab with both hands. The right mouse click used to make my right hand grab. Now I only have the left grabbing.
Yes.
Is that going to come back?
So you're using the right click to move, the right click mouse move mode. Is that what you're using?
Oh, I can't have both? I'm so sad.
This is the unfortunate thing, because it was making it difficult because you kept grabbing every time you wanted to move your character. You just rotate, so that's why we had to disable it.
But what if I randomly
that's
grabbing strangers?
Well, I don't know. Maybe go to the other one and then just click randomly. Right? Yeah. That was an unfortunate trade-off. I think Gareth went to extra lengths to make sure that right-click and move was still an option. Even when your menu is open in 2D, there's maybe a right-click way you can move yourself around, even if you're not in right-click mode. So there's like extra options there just to make sure you've got every possible way to move around in your menu. We still have more big plans for the menu. Eventually, the plan will be that you'll be able to just open the menu in the loading screen. The space will become and feel a little bit more like a space then at that point. So, yeah, but I'm waffling. Yeah, let's see. Anybody, any other questions before? Pox got a question. Go ahead.
No, I have no question. I'm
Pox
just jumping.
has no question. Pox would just like to demonstrate an old school avatar which was originally disabled and defunct by Microsoft and was on a platform called Altspace, which is now dead. God rest its soul. But there you go. These avatars were great. People loved them for a long time. By the end, I think people might have thought they looked like something I'm not going to say. We all know what I'm about to say, but I won't say it, right? But anyway, there. Let's see the crouch. Give us an L crouch there. Oh my God! Wow, look at that. You can throw that thing up. That is weighted to the neck. It can fly,
Oh my
you guys.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go. Isn't that great?
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's how they used to make you feel. Those avatars. Although they weren't quite able to do that. But
I don't remember how exactly it happened with them in Altspace. I think they just dipped into the ground, didn't they?
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think you
yeah,
could
they
crouch.
didn't.
There wasn't really a
Yeah.
crouch in Altspace.
They didn't bend.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But there you go. Thanks for that, Pox. Appreciate that. Yeah, let's see. Anybody, any other questions?
Well, mine is
Nope,
just
nothing
a
yet.
comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm saying mine is just a comment. Bringing the quick menu will obviously help moderate events, and I think having hostels is really great, and having the quick menu there is obviously one way to help moderators of those events have an easy job at it. So that would be a very nice welcome and an addition to the hostels in Banter.
You know, that's a really great point, actually. That might just be another thing that the quick menu could unlock for us, right? Might be that raise hand option, right? If you have that in your quick menu as part of maybe some admin or God section, that in there you have a list of everybody whose hand is raised, and you can open them up and choose to megaphone them, and yeah, kind of work your way through the list from there. That's probably the easiest way to have host tools, right? That you can have something that's easy to
Yeah.
access, but doesn't take you out of the space, doesn't kind of break your immersion in that way. So yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm going to need to check back on this stream to make sure that I can pick up on these. Yeah, there's some great ideas. Honestly, guys, I'm really looking forward to the new year because we're going to be running these events where we're going to be sponsoring people to create stuff, and we're going to do it kind of like Shark Tank, right? If anybody's unfamiliar, that's the plan. You can come in and you can pitch what you want to create, and we're going to give you potentially some cash for it. We're going to be having a pool of nearly $10,000 to do that. To put that into perspective, I think Meta just finished a competition before Christmas where they had about $80,000. Now, I'll tell you right now, Meta have way more than 8 times the resources that we have. So $10,000 for us is a much bigger deal. But the idea is going to be that myself and Aline and also Nimso, who created so much of this cool, funky shit that we've got, are going to be your moguls or your investors or whatever you want to call them, your sharks, right? And you're going to be able to pitch to us, and we're going to basically, shake hands and agree on a deal to whatever, fund your idea. And it could be a small sum, could be a small idea, could be a larger sum. We're going to have a pot each. We're going to have a third of the pot each for us to each allocate, let's say. But, you know, if something is big enough, we might even join forces and go in on it, right? And I think the hope is that we want to really try and enable people to create stuff, right? It's not going to be just, here's a hackathon, now it's running, that's it. We're working really hard on trying to get some polished examples, right? Some actual gamified examples, stuff that we're going to make into games ourselves and make it all available for you guys to take and modify and enhance and do with whatever you want. And there's going to be lots of help and support along the way. We're going to try and put a focus onto things like visual scripting, right? And helping people understand how they can sort of grow and expand their skills around visual scripting, right? And honestly, whether it's visual scripting or JavaScript, one of the best things about building here on Banter is everything that you're learning to build is a life lesson, a life tool that you can use way outside of Banter. We haven't invented our own language, folks. Bullscript was just a joke. We actually didn't make a custom language. Bullscript was just us taking the piss out of VR Chat and Horizon Worlds and Rec Room and all the others that build their own custom shit that you then have to learn how to use, which only works there, which is completely useless anywhere else in the world. But here, you can take your skills having learned JavaScript and go out and build websites, right? And sell that as a service. You could take your skills with Unity visual scripting and build full-blown Unity games with them, right? Outside of Banter, completely separate from what's going on here. So know that anything you've got, anything you're building, anything that you're working on is something that will always kind of stick with you in that sense. And that's aside from the fact that our entire SDK has been open source since its release. And that's kind of a guarantee that in the future, everything that you build will continue to work, even in potentially other apps, right? If this grows and expands, or God forbid, if Banter were ever to go away, which will never happen, of course. Go ahead, Trey. What have you got for us?
Okay.
Give us some
I
Christmas
brought
cheer.
this up a long time ago, but I wanted to bring it back up again. So in Allspace, really enjoyed creating assets and things like that in Blender. I would like tables and chairs and different things like that, and being able to come into the space in VR and spawn them and have access to my assets from within
Yes.
the game and spawn
Yes.
them into like a space and decorate a room or something like that. Is that gonna anywhere possible? I know I think you had something to do with that, but is it any
Yeah.
way
Oh,
like
yeah.
this in there where?
We've
Is
only
it
got 3
like? Can
minutes
you
left,
kind of
or
like
I would tell you
briefly?
the origin
I'm
story,
sorry.
folks. I would tell you the origin story of the reason why we're all here was because I built a tool like that, and then it got, bumped around a bit, this, that, and the other, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's genuinely the reason that we're here. But to answer your question,
Mhm.
so something I'm really excited about that we've been playing with recently and are exploring how we can integrate it into Banter is something called Trellis. Trellis is basically a real-time 3D model generation AI model, right? So in our examples, we ran it on Aline's high-end machine, which is a 4090 with 24 gigs of VRAM, I think, minimum. And it was able to generate pretty decent, what I would say are almost game-ready models. Very little polish required, sometimes none. Very low poly, which is great. And it was able to do them in like 15 seconds from a picture, right? You give it a picture, it generates a model. It can generate the back of the model, even if it's not able to see it. It was nuts. So I'm honestly pretty excited about the future of a asset-based world builder actually being more just a input prompt field where you just say whatever the hell you want, in it spawns, and you can grab it and scale it and move it around and
I
build
think we need to
a
applaud that,
completely
people.
custom space
Can we
every time
applaud
you
that,
do,
people?
right?
We need to
Well,
applaud
this is
that.
the
Can
thing,
we
right?
applaud that? We need to applaud that.
Yeah. I'm sure we can do that. I'm sure we
That's
can do that,
wonderful.
right? I'm sure once you
Yeah.
create things, you can save them. You've got a saved
Mm.
space. Maybe you can tap into those assets and mix and match them in other spaces in the future as well. So, yeah, I'm definitely
Yes.
super excited about that. I think we'll have that running on
Yes.
some cloud
Wow.
GPU infrastructure pretty
Mhm.
soon, much like we've done with some of the other
Cool.
AI stuff, like the image generation or the speech to text. That's all using, some of the fancier modern AI, all on private servers, not doing anything crazy with any of your data, of course. It's all just going straight in and then being thrown away. But yeah, I think we'll do something similar with
That's
this,
great.
right? And that'll be what the
Okay.
world builder will be, right? So then I think it'll
That's
take the
great.
pressure off. You don't have to build out this complex marketplace or build out all these assets or create packs and share them and have all the crazy
Gotcha.
entanglement that comes with that, right? You'll just be able to make a custom world every time you want just by speaking it
Wow.
into existence, right? You can take that
That
to
is
the bank.
Cool.
that is great.
Wow.
Thank
We need
you.
to applaud that.
Yeah.
And thank you, Shane, because dealing with students, I think the most difficult thing has been to teach them how to build. And every time
Yes.
I think about building, I think about an AI tool that will help the student build. And I think once they reopen the campus, I can't wait to give them that info, and I hope it will be here as soon as possible. I can't wait to experiment.
So the thing we've been playing with, if anybody's interested, wants to look into it, it's called Trellis. It's been released now about 3 weeks. It was released by Microsoft. It is an open source model, an actual open source model, in that you can just download it and run it on your own hardware. What's great about it is that it's already got a fast moving community who are doing crazy stuff with it. And within a very short space of time, you were able to run it on 4.5 gigs of VRAM, which is a very, very low end graphics card.
Yes.
I'm sure at some point soon you'll probably be able to run this sort of stuff on mobile devices, right? You could have offline
You
versions
can
of this
already.
running on your Quest.
Wow.
There you go.
They're
There you
they're
go.
already built. It just takes about 8 minutes to generate
Takes
on
about
the
8
phone.
minutes. But you could have it offline, right? No internet, and you could have an infinite
Nice.
creation system to create whatever the hell you want,
Wonderful.
save it, and then share it with other people later, right? That's honestly incredible, right? It's probably,
Yeah, it
if the
is.
world explodes tomorrow,
Yeah.
at least we'll be able to recreate it in our virtual environments. That's great, right?
Wow.
And on that bombshell, that's pretty much brought us up to the hour quite nicely. Thank you all very much for attending. The only other thing I did want to mention for anybody who's interested, maybe Berry, we did some experiments with Vulkan. They didn't go exactly as we wanted. And actually, some of the things that we thought we needed Vulkan for, in hindsight, we may not need Vulkan for. So we are still keeping an eye on that and other areas to see if there are any improvements. But it looks like right now it could be a lot of work and a lot of risk and a lot of change without a huge amount of benefit to what we're doing. And Barry, to your piece, it was around the Gaussian splats, right? That's what we discovered, is that most of the implementations we've seen out there so far right now for Unity are leveraging Vulkan. And likelihood is we'll probably see one at some point here soon that will use the OpenGL, right, as a graphics API instead of Vulkan, right? And for those of you that have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, that's cool. Just think it's something to do with Star Trek. Them goddamn Vulcans. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? That was a great line. I love that. So that's it. We're done. You don't have to go home, but you can stay here if you want. But there's other cool places to go. I don't know. That's it. We're done. I'm going to take myself off megaphone. Feel free to stand in the little scanner over there. Everybody who stands there, you get 10 coins. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm rich.
He said stand. You don't follow instructions well.
Oh yeah. So I got 20 coin because I crouched.
Oh my god.
How are you doing?